hair here, and 2121, both here. All right, anybody else in the chat? As you may see, I'm scooping out some Armadillidium gestroy zingers that got into my one of my millipede enclosures, and trying to rectify that situation. We don't need the isopods in with the millipedes. Sometimes that can work, but it's more complicated that way for sure, and can sometimes cause trouble. So I want to make sure I remove them all. I'm seeing here that where's my brush? There is at least one more in there. So I'm just redoing their substrate, the millipede substrate. It is high time that I do that. So there we go. I think I got all of the Armadillidium gestroy zingers out of there. Do love the zingers, but I don't want them in there. I see Chet's here. Welcome, Chet, as well. And yes, waiting is over. 2121. All right. She said there we got 7 likes. Nice. That was pretty fast. So these millipedes here were sent to me as Hiltonius pulchris. They may be a different species of Hiltonius, perhaps, but they are. This is the younger ones here. You see, I'm not sure which generation this is. 4th, maybe, the younger ones. I've had these since 2019, and the larger ones here are pretty much adults, probably adults, and then you can see there are several young ones in there. And I want to see if I can get a better turnout this next generation. I think it's been too long without a substrate change. Before we go too far, though, there's another millipede crawling around on the bottom. I'm going to move that one back in, hopefully, so I can put other substrate on the bottom. But I wanted to respond to a message from Mary Goswami. Mary Goswami says, "Hey Russ, Mary here. I'd like to add horticultural charcoal to my next batch of Isopod enclosure soil mix. Can't afford to replace the bag that's almost used up. Will the hardwood charcoal I use for the springtail enclosures be a good substitute? Crushed, of course. Tuesdays are pretty busy for me, but I'll be part of the live if I can." Well, that's a great question. You can use the horticultural charcoal. I mean, you can use the 100% hardwood charcoal in place of it. Some of the benefits will be the same. Horticultural charcoal, there's a lot of different kinds of charcoal, and I think horticultural charcoal is pretty close to what you'd get by crushing up just the hardwood charcoal that you use for springtails. I have done it before. I haven't noticed any ill effects from doing so. So while there may be some differences, I don't think you'll have any problems. If you do that, just make sure that when you crush up that other charcoal, you're not breathing in the dust. That is harmful, carbon dust, of course. So you can take precautions. I have a mask with filters on it that I can use for that kind of stuff. I don't know if you have one of those, but at the very least, you could cover it up in several layers of bags and then crush it, and then be careful when you're opening it. Something at your own risk kind of thing. But that is what I would say. You don't necessarily need the charcoal in the mix necessarily. Not everybody uses it in their mix, but it's a lot of people do use it, and it can provide some benefits. It provides a lot of surface area. Some types of charcoal have enough surface area. They're adsorbing with a D, adsorbing various chemicals that could be harmful in the enclosure otherwise, but also providing a surface for beneficial bacteria to grow and so on. So, all right, let me move this out of the way for just a second, because I'm going to move this in and then show you what I'm putting in here. This is some substrate sent to me by BioLives LLC. Let me zoom in a little bit, or zoom out so you can see what's going on. This is the new package of their substrate. Like it says on the top, substrate can be moistened in bag to reduce dust, which I did. Complete bioactive substrate, BioLabs LLC. Nutrient-rich, airy, reduces compaction, lightweight, moisture-retentive, burrow support. So look at the ingredients. Rotting hardwood is first one. Then compost, oak leaves, sphagnum moss, charcoal, that we were just talking about, worm castings, flake soil, which is a type of, rotting hardwood in essentially, bat guano, calcium carbonate, ground oyster shell, and perlite. So this is what I'm putting in here. As you see, the first ingredient is rotting hardwood, which is rather important for most millipedes. And I am putting I'm leaving some of the original soil in there, which has springtails in it. And that's always good. Get some springtails going in there. You can put a few inches of this substrate in. And you can see it's already moist. And you can see some oak leaves in there. I can see bits of like the hardwood. You can see the things in here that are going to be good for these creatures. I'm also going to add, actually, these are not very big millipedes, so I'm probably okay not putting too much depth in there, but I'm going to set that millipede in because it's crawling out. I'm going to put a little bit of this bioactive starter that Laura Philippi from BioLabs sent me. He had one packet, 12 quarts, and so this is 2 quarts, so I'm just going to sprinkle some in. Get some bioactivity going, making sure I'm not stirring up that millipede and irritating it unnecessarily. But I got that mixed in, and mixing in with the old substrate will be helpful as well. And now we can put these in and kind of let them do their thing. I'm going to carefully tip them over, tap them out a little bit. There we go. That should be all the millipedes of various ages, and we can watch them take off into the substrate. So I see Joseph Tavir is here, Laura Philippi is here, and I was just showcasing your substrate a little bit, Laura. Thank you again for sending that to me. Yeah, 2121. You can find these in lots of places. These were sent to me from California. There's a certain season in the area of California where these were collected where they just get crushed on the street and sidewalk and stuff like that. And so rather than have them get crushed, someone said, "Can I send you a few of them?" And she did. And that was back in 2019, and they've been breeding, had several generations since. So I do need to change the substrate more often than I have been, because that one's been a while. But let's see, Police Commander is here, and Mystic Drake, welcome. I don't think I've seen Police Commander make a comment before. I have seen Mystic Drake before. Remember that. There we go. I see Yotaro is here again, too. Welcome. And hopefully, Mary, that is a good answer for you, that you can use that as long as you take steps not to inhale that carbon dust. Oh, good. Mystic Drake. Yeah, it's been a while, but you are here. Love the millipods. Let's see. Comlin4, hello. And thank you. Yeah, they're one of I haven't really specialized in millipedes, but I have bred several species, including this one. I've bred ivory millipedes. I've bred flame legs. That was the first one. Bred scarlets. I've bred bumblebees. I'm trying to remember what else I may have bred. A few different types of millipedes, not a ton. I may actually have bred my... I have to check and see. Did I not put the label on here? What the heck? This should have a label on it. I have some millipedes in another bin here. And I see them. They're probably breeding too. But now I can't even remember the name. But I have it written down, so I'll get that. Get that going at some point. They're going slowly, but they're going, right? Okay. Well, I'm going to get something ready as we're doing this. So Zach Rendier just got some Gestroy. Do you like anything special? Well, I love my Gestroy. They do like a lot of leaf litter. They like it a fair decent amount of moisture in there. A gradient's good, but a decent amount of moisture. A lot of leaf litter, I would say. And because they get really big for Armadillidium, decent amount of space is good. Just gonna wash my hands real quick here. So we can start digging around in some other bins and doing some more things right after we watch these. What color would you say these are? Being colorblind, I sometimes have difficulty identifying, not surprisingly, identifying specific colors. I see color, I just don't see it the same way everybody else does. So these are indeed millipedes, yeah. So I hope that helps, Zakrandir, with your question. Atypical Girl, welcome. Welcome back, I should say. You've been here before. King Campy, hello. New to isopods and millipedes, want to start off with 2 to 3 easy varieties, so naturally I ended up with 12. Well, that does happen to the best of us. And it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you've done your research and preparation. You have what you need to take care of them. 12 colonies isn't so bad. So Mystic Drake, meant to ask you, I have a yellow mushroom going in the isopods and millipedes bins. Does it mean too much humidity and not enough springtails? Well, it sounds like it might be flower pot fungus, and that is not uncommon. It's not particularly harmful to the isopods or the millipedes, but it often means that, well, there's definitely the flower pot fungus is exploiting a resource that is available to them. So they're we'll see. What was I saying? Yeah, the flower pot fungus. I haven't had huge problems with it once I changed the substrate that I use to various other things. I had it a lot when I was using cocoa fiber back in the day, years ago, and I don't really use cocoa fiber as a substrate anymore with isopods or millipedes, of course. But it, yeah, it could have to do with the ventilation. I have found improved ventilation can be helpful in getting rid of it and stuff. I don't really see much of it anymore. But hippocampus expert, yes, these are millipedes. So I would say the spores are going to be a little hard to get rid of unless you completely clean out everything, but it might be more about finding what is going to prevent them from doing well. So Zach and Deer, I'm not really a millipede expert per se. I've bred a few species, kept a few species. I have found, so I don't really know about the bat guano being a big problem or not. I'm going to try it with these and see how they do. I haven't had trouble with substrate with bat guano in it before with millipedes as far as I can recall. It probably depends on proportion and species and whatnot. But yeah, I would be interested to find out more about that. These have been extremely easy to care for, pretty hardy millipedes, and it may depend on the species too. Back in the day, some of the hardier species, I would not recommend this, so don't say I don't recommend this at all, but I've had seen people, that's not what I mean to say. I do not recommend this, but back in the day, cocoa fiber was the main substrate I used to keep some isopods, some millipedes, and I bred some millipedes on it. That doesn't mean it's good for them. It doesn't mean it can't kill some species. Some of the hardier species did okay on cocoa fiber for me back in the day. Just saying, I don't recommend it. But there you are. All right, where's my lid? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, hippocampus has come to be easier to care for isopods. Excellent. So, Mystic Drake saying these are brownish or reddish. Okay, that helps. Young lad, back again. Good. Welcome. And hippocampus, that means several different things, but it can refer to seahorses, the genus name of seahorses. It can refer to a structure in the brain, and it can refer to the ancient Greek mythical mounts of some of the aquatic people and so on. They look like half horse, half fish. And okay, and Laura Philippi is the one who sent me this substrate. Says they autoclave the guano, so it's not going to have any nasty microorganisms in it. So if that is one of the concerns, then that concern can be laid to rest when you're using BioLives, because autoclaving it definitely takes care of all of that. And maybe people have other concerns that I'm not addressing, but I think they're going to be okay on this substrate, because the substrate has generally worked out really well for me, the BioLives substrate, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this does, how these do. I'm fully expecting to see a nice crop of babies eventually out of this, but let's see. They're disappearing, so I'm going to put changed October 14th, 25, and BioLives, so that I know what I used, because in 4 months I might not be able to tell anymore, because they will have turned a lot of it into frass when I come back and need to replace it. I am going to take a quick look at some of the substrate I removed, which has a ton of frass in it. Need to wipe that lid down. One thing you should always do when you change millipede substrate, and there's a lot of frass in here, is keep it around for a while, because there could be eggs, could be small babies that I'm missing in here. So what I'm going to do is moisten it down a bit, put a lid on it, and after I do that, I can come back and check in a few weeks, a month, and if necessary, I can then remove any babies from the substrate. Okay. Where's Zingers? Yeah. So I recently refreshed some substrate in here. Part of it, I think it wasn't so much the base substrate as it was the upper substrate. But here are some zingers, and notice this. I've been catching these once in a while. It's a wild type. They've been showing up in the zingers bin. They're rare. They've been showing up. I haven't mixed them on purpose, and I'm not seeing them in large enough numbers that I think I contaminated the enclosure with a wild type. I think what's happening is some of them are reverting. We're having throwbacks. So kind of like a reverse mutation. Really weird, huh? Isn't that weird? That's what we're getting. But I think it was Zach Rendier who asked about the gestroy. So if you have a, here's an example of that species, the Zingers morph. So let's see, Einheit02 asking about springtails and how long before the isopods should you add them? Well, there's a lot of wiggle room here. I would say ideally, if you can add springtails 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the isopods, that would be great. You can't always do that. You can add them the same day if you need to, but ideally I would give them 2 or 3 weeks. So Yotaro asking about garter snakes. Yotaro purchased some of the offspring of my garter snakes a while ago, a few years ago. So totally off topic, but Ruby's grandson Ezrin is still so small, only about 13 inches long. Should I be concerned? He's only half the size of his dad. I've been curious about that. I have had a couple of people, not many, but a couple of people say, and this is funny because Ruby was huge. She was gigantic, a really big garter snake for her species and subspecies. She was quite big. And her mates were also quite big for males, that some of the offspring just didn't get very big. And I don't know if this is something specific genetics that are going on. I don't know if it's because it hasn't been, out of the many dozens that went out, Only 1 or 2 people have mentioned this, but some of them have been really small. And it may just be that the species does that. It just throws some small ones that don't grow as much, just natural variation. It could be something more specific, more heritable going on, but I don't know where they would get it from, such large parents. Very interesting. I wouldn't be concerned as long as he's eating well and doing well. Still big enough to breed and everything. That is just it is a little bit curious. So I wish I knew more about that. Oh, I like it. Dominoes. Yeah, they kind of do look like dominoes, don't they? I do need to change the base substrate in there, but I think for right now we don't need to worry about it too much. But it's something we need to keep in mind for the future for sure. Let's see. I just changed the substrate on my Wernerei enclosure, half of it, like a couple weeks ago, and I want to just check and see how they're doing on the new substrate. So let's take that. Everybody loves the Wernerei, right? It's funny, whenever I post the Wernerei on Instagram, for example, I get like 2 or 3 million, no, 2 or 3,000 views within a very short period of time. I've never had 3 million views on any one video on any social media platform. I think I've only had one video that went over 1 million. So let's see how they're doing. They're looking pretty good on the new substrate. Looks like they're settling in nicely. You can see lots of juveniles here. Oh, Mystic Drake, you found another yellow one. I missed it. I'll just have to keep an eye on that. So Yotaro saying, Ruby, she's a big girl, but the grandson is so little. Yeah, I wish I knew more about what's going on there. It's really interesting. I think one other person mentioned that to me, that one of them just didn't get very big. Huh. So Hippocampus expert loves Wernerei too. So Hippocampus, yeah, these are interesting. They're not the easiest. I haven't found them super difficult, but they like flattish to concavish. You know, this is not like really concave, but it's not really flat either. It's somewhere in the middle. They seem to like that kind of hide. They'll like egg cartons too. They use the egg cartons quite a bit. And you want them to be able to get to they need a good gradient, and they need a good gradient where the, at least in my experience, where the hide comes right up to the moss area, but it doesn't really get really damp. They need to have plenty of fairly dry area on their hide, but they also need to be close to where it's damp. Something like that, if that makes sense. And then they seem to do okay. They're constantly breeding for me. They don't even seem to be seasonal breeders particularly. They're just always producing offspring. So, yeah. I've sold off quite a number of them. Can't ship them, so I only sell them locally. But yeah, and I'm hoping their reproductivity. Maybe I've seen lots of babies in the enclosure, but I feel like since I needed to change the substrate, maybe the survivability went down a little bit, so not as many of them grew up. But now that I've changed the substrate, I think we'll get more of them growing up. So Hippocampus could be a species that you're ready for, depending on what you've had and so on. But hopefully those things give you some tips. They do like some good ventilation. There's a lot of ventilation around in this tub. Like 3 sides of it have small like vent holes all the way along the top. And then one side, the mossy side, doesn't have very many. So there we go. Porcelia werneri, the Greek shield isopod, huh? Let's see. I'm going to take a peek at these different Porcelio species. Also a fairly impressive one, probably the most impressive Porcelio species I have. Do I have any tips for Hoffman's Agi? Oh, coincidentally, these are some Hoffman's Agi. So let's take a look. This is Hoffman's Agi orange. There's one right there. Ooh, that I need to replace that piece of egg crate. It's getting icky. Oh, there's a little baby on my finger. Let's see what is under this piece of cork, shall we? Oh, look at all those. Got a breeding age male, breeding age female, and a bunch of juveniles of varying sizes, huh? This original stock came to me from Tennyson Kingsley, and I think maybe Billy Yodeski also provided some of these, if I remember correctly. These are hands down my favorite type of Porcelia hoffmannseggi, the orange ones. There are several really beautiful forms of them. I wouldn't mind keeping some of the others. Well, I have Porcelia hoffmannseggi black, which I like a lot, and these, which are my favorites. They're just so vivid. So, tips for hoffmannseggi. One, make sure they have a lot of hiding places within the enclosure. Lots of different small hiding places, not like one big one, but lots of smaller hiding places. Like this is one in here, and there's not a lot of adults in here, so it's not as big of a deal. But when there are a lot of adults, you need to have lots of pieces of bark or pieces of egg crate. I need probably add some more to this, especially since this is getting old. But ideally, to breed them a lot, either separate them into small groups where you have like one male and a couple of females, or and ideally with many hiding places, or just provide lots of hiding places and a lot of space. I have mine separated into smaller groups. So that helps a lot. If you make sure that they have plenty of hiding places, so that if they get into territorial fights and whatnot, they have different places to go, visual barriers, and just off in their own little rooms, so to speak. That often helps with them. So Zach Reindeer, how do you get high humidity and high ventilation at the same time? Typically, the best way to do that with isopods is simply provide a good gradient. Make sure you ventilate the enclosures a lot. Like, I have ventilation in the enclosures. There's holes along this side, holes along this side, holes along this side, and then just a few holes on this side where the moss is, for fewer. Okay. And keep this moss damp. Keep some of the hides up so that they're up against the moss. And then there will be a little area right there where there's decent ventilation because the enclosure itself is ventilated. But right up against that moss there, they can come and get a place where it's really high humidity, and then they can go down further this way away from the moss to reduce it. That's basically what a gradient is when you have the ability, of course, to go from high concentration to low concentration, in this case humidity. And that's how it works. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, egg carton and bark hides are fine. Just make sure you don't get the egg carton too wet, because it will degrade, fall apart, mold, do all those nasty things. So I'm going to pull another enclosure of the Porcelia hoffmannseggi. I've got a few of them. Actually, I'm going to give them a little snack first. Porcelia hoffmannseggi are not the isopods with the highest food drive that I have ever seen. It was a while before I even saw them eating at all. Saw the food disappearing, but I wouldn't see them eating. But they're not like some of the Porcelia that'll just jump on their food and go crazy. So I don't know if we'll even see any of these eat for putting that there, but maybe this juvenile's coming that way, maybe. I wonder if we'll see it. Nope, backing off. Just back it up. Back it up. Doesn't seem to want to get into that, does it? Okay, well, I'm going to switch to another one. If they're not going to do anything exciting, except for sit there, which is admittedly kind of exciting to watch, because they're isopods. They're just interesting creatures to see, even if they're not doing a whole lot. But, it's more fun if they are doing something, I think. Okay, this one here, recently we did some stuff in this one. I'm not seeing any right there. I know they're in here. Oh, there's some. There's a couple of young ones. The medium-sized female, and they're probably both females, but they're younger. Let's see. Oh, there's a bunch. Oh, sorry. I interrupted this largest male. Kind of made him mad, I think. See, there's a couple of males. There's a female. And a juvenile, probably female juvenile there. Aren't they just gorgeous, though? I don't get tired of looking at them. So, Mystic Drake, how often do you have to remove males or females to reduce territorial tensions? What I try to do is when they're adults, I try to separate them out, or just make sure I'm in a large enclosure with lots of different hides, so that if I like, these are adults, right? So there's enough different hides in here that they're not all being used, but I wouldn't put more adults in here because I think they're like two uh, reasonably adult females and two reasonably adult males, and that's probably good enough. I can leave the juveniles in there for a little while longer. But yeah, and there's plenty of hides, and I see a lot of they're just kind of spread out through the enclosure. They're not even using all the hides right now. It's a new enclosure, so they're aggregating pheromones have not been distributed in the way that they usually would, because I just did this like a few days ago. But I don't know if that made any sense. So somebody was asking about bug burger. You always serve bug burger type food dry, correct? Meaning, from Jesse King, meaning like the powdered style food. I haven't always done that, but I usually do. You can serve bug burger wet, dry, whatever, doesn't matter. They will eat it both ways. It's just easier to serve it dry because then you don't have to do the work of hydrating it and all that stuff, which, you have to use hot water or the microwave or whatever to make it work like that. So it's just easier not to. And they do perfectly well when it's dry. And I like various powdered foods. Look at all those springtails. Oh, you know what? I need some springtails for something. There's a bunch in here. This is the third enclosure of my Hoffman's egg eye. Looks like there's a male, a young male. Those are probably all males, younger males, except for the one with the longer uropods is an older male. I think all the rest are going to be males. What do we got here? We got some really small ones, and then we've got some young males too. Some that are far too small to tell. I'm actually going to leave that right there. I'm going to zoom in, see if they go anywhere. I want to try something. I'm going to put a small piece of food in there, see if they're interested in eating it. That would be fun. And I'm going to go get something that I need to get to show you. Okay, see if they eat any of that. Okay, I'll be right back. Hi. I'm not quite done yet. Just grabbing something. They're not doing a whole lot. That doesn't mean they won't. But I'm going to put this food right over here and put them back because I really want some of those springtails, and I want to show you why. Okay. This is kind of like a preview, okay? Preview. You see what's going on in there? If you've seen the video I did on my tadpole recently, my dart frog tadpole, and how it was, I had a tadpole. I've got another video coming on that's documenting another stage in the development of this little guy. But my dart frogs that I've had for, 9-ish years, I don't remember exactly, produced a tadpole recently, and I made a video about it, and another video is coming out soon, but this is just kind of a preview. The little guy, I don't know if it's male or female at this point, but just metamorphosed, and it's just been a froglet for a few days. So I have been offering it springtails. You can see there's some springtails kicking around in here, but I'm going to put some more in because higher density, it's probably eaten quite a few of them. And just to keep the springtail density high in here, I'm going to add some more. They don't really handle fruit flies all that well for the first little while that they eat. They're a little small for fruit flies, even the melanogaster. So I'm just making sure it has some things to eat. So who's here? Champbara's here. And thank you, everyone. Yeah, it is a pretty little thing, isn't it? And it's tiny. Probably it could fit on my thumbnail. This is not a thumbnail dwarf frog. It's a young one, and it will get bigger. It's Dendrobates leucomelas, the bumblebee dart frog. I have raised dart frogs before from tadpoles, from the trio of Dendrobates leucomelas, the bumblebees that I have right now. But it has been a few years because I haven't really focused on breeding them. And occasionally they've produced tadpoles and I raise up the tadpoles. But I don't like, once in a while I say, oh, I'm just going to mist their petri dishes a little bit more to see if I can get some eggs. And I'll try that. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's only happened a few times. But I don't know if I just scared him or if he's eating now. I think he's paying attention to springtails. Hopefully he's going to be eating. Sorry, it's a little bit out of focus. I think. Let's see. Oh, Sadin, welcome. So hippocampus expert, seeing your successful huff enclosure gave me ideas to improve mine. My leaf litter is probably too sparse. Kind of hard to overdo it on leaf litter. If you could put like 4 inches of leaf litter across the bottom, that'd probably be great. Yeah, it is hard to overdo with isopods. The only thing is make sure they can't climb out because the leaf litter is too tall. But other than that, if they're not using it as a way of escape, it's hard to overdo it. And that may very well help you get some babies, or maybe you're getting babies and now the mortality rate will decrease and you'll see them, or that could be an issue too. Frank the Tank is back. Missed you, but I'm glad you're back. I'm glad the notifications eventually got to you. Oh, Yotaro, your chili pepper anoles had a baby. That is awesome. And Sadin, I'm glad you caught the stream in time too. Hippocampus expert. Oh, you need more of a moss station. That could be. Hoffman's egg are pretty adaptable, but it couldn't hurt to have a little bit more of a moss station, most likely. And yeah, hi to you, Sadin. I'm doing okay. I was sick for a while there, but I'm doing better. Glad to be feeling better, have a little bit more energy than I did. Okay, well, most of the springtails seem to have relocated. Might need to add a few more. I just want them to be really dense in here so that he gets plenty to eat. Doesn't have to go too far. I don't want him wasting all of his energy looking. Get some more in there. If there's other surfaces that are covered with springtails, I'm going to tap them in so that he has plenty. Let's see. Without tapping off, of course, Porcelia Hoffman's egg. I don't want to lose them. I got some really tiny ones in this bin, so I don't want to tap those off. But I might find some more bins that are rich in springtails. So you never know. Does anybody have... Oh, I want to show you this. This is cool. I'm going to put this little guy away. Everybody say bye to the little froglet. And bon appetit. Bon appetito, buen provecho, however you want to say it. Have a good meal. And here we go. So this is my Porcelia escaped red edge bin that I got from Tennyson. I got the starter culture, not the bin, but the starter culture of red edge from Tennyson a while back. When was it? Should say on this bin here. May of 2025. He got me a nice starter group. And the substrate is just crawling with babies now. Like, they're everywhere. I'm not just babies either. Juveniles, young adults, whatever. There's a lot of them in here. And they're pretty cool looking. I just saw an interesting looking adult. Here, let's get something that helps us be able to focus on them. I'm going to scoop a couple into here, get a better look maybe. There we go. You can get a peek at what they look like. That one on the right especially looks really cool, doesn't it? So Tennyson doesn't seem to be in the stream right now. Maybe he's lurking. I don't know. But yeah, thanks again, Tennyson, for these. These are interesting critters. They have a lot of variation. There's a lot of oranges in here, a lot of different color varieties I'm going to be playing with to see, going to try to produce some. Now a lot of them are hiding because I, moved their leaf litter, but there's a lot in there. There's a pretty one. That's a pretty good, I'd say that has a pretty good orange rim, I think. I mean, my color blindness may be messing with me, but yeah, they seem to change color as they develop, and there's also just a lot of variation in the type. Oh, well, Sadin, I'm really glad that you enjoy the channel. It's always flattering when someone tells me they've watched everything that I've done, all my Isopod videos at least. That's fun. I appreciate that. I'm glad that helps. So I'll have to check with Tennyson for sure, Mystic Drake, whether they darken with age. I feel like they do change with age. Some morphs do, like the piebald definitely changes with age. A lot of them are born without any piebalding, and as they get older, they are you see the pattern develop. That's changing though. I feel like the genes, as I've been working with the group, I'm getting younger and younger individuals with piebalding. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping it works. And I wish my plaster Paris had not broken, because now it's going to be a pain to try to get these out of here without my brush. And I do have my brush. I'll just get that, because I don't want to hurt anything. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt any little isopods. But these pieces of plaster are unstable. There, that'll work. You probably didn't even see what I did, so sorry. It's not exactly what I meant to do, but kind of hoping to sort of demonstrate what I was doing to prevent them from being hurt. But I made a botched job of that, I feel like. So anyway, the red edge are fun, and let's see if we can find another one. I've got plenty to look at, so. This is a group of a different form of Porcelia scaber that was collected only about an hour and a half or so from here by Chet, who may still be in the stream. He was in here earlier. This is a Hubble Canyon Calico, which throws wild types, but it also throws some interesting kind of reddish calicos. Let's see what we can see. Look at that. Not all of them are reddish, but there's some definitely interesting calicos here. And these were just collected, like I said. Hubble Creek is approximately an hour and a half away from here, and that's where these were collected. And it is a sex-linked trait in many forms of calico, not all, but in many forms of calico, it's a sex-linked trait. Orange calico and anything descended from orange calico, I believe, is no longer sex-linked, but the trait itself is often found to be sex-linked, and it occurs fairly often in the wild. I found a form of calico myself, maybe 3 or 4 hours from here once, and kept that for quite a while. I no longer work with that strain, but I think it's out in the hobby now. It's Beaver County calico, because I didn't collect it in a town or anything proper, but I did collect it in Beaver County in the southern part of the state. So calicos are just kind of fun. Yep, Chet's still here. So thanks again, Chet. They're doing well, getting lots of babies. I don't know how many you actually saw in that, but doing well. So thank you for sharing those with me again. Thank you again for sharing those with me, I should say. You only shared them once. I do want to be precise with my language when I can. It can be hard to do so when your hands are busy, so to speak, which they are. But let's take a look at these, shall we? I think it's about time to change some substrate for these. Probably past time. Looks like they're munching through their leaves too. But these are beauties. Armadillo Kluge Montenegro Orange. Oh, the Bob Ross of exotic animals. So Frank the Tank, can you find a link? Oh, you did. Have a link to one of my Bob Ross videos. I think I have 3. There's a live stream and a couple of shorts where I'm Bob Ross, just dressed like Bob Ross. I have the wig and I have the clothes, all the things. Yeah, I sometimes get some springtails that end up on the table. So Champ Bar got an ambler pigeon in July, Phrynis white-eye, and have been having some success housing with Porcelia dilatatus bioactively. Awesome. I know that Oren McGonigal has talked about keeping ambler pigeons with isopods successfully. I have done it with Venizilo parvus. I have that with my Damon diadema pair. So, yeah, I love these so much. Look at just the ones that have the yellow spots as well as the white. So gorgeous. Let's see. I'm going to put this down, lift this one up, see what we got under here. Yeah. Definitely need to change the substrate in here. I think at this point, logistically, that might be complicated to do on camera. But I can top off their leaves. I can definitely do that. They need it. Let me top off some of their leaves. Yeah, in one of the, actually, I think in the live stream and in one of the shorts, I actually do something called the Bob Ross floss. So if that is of interest to you, you should check that out after the stream. And if it's not of interest to you, definitely don't check it out after the stream. So let's see, any new permits you're working on? Not yet. I think my permits are going to expire in approximately, when is it? Like July of 2026 or something like that. So I need to get cracking on those pretty soon, probably in January, just to renew my permits. But I haven't been working on any specific new ones. So, see, we have a testimonial, unsolicited testimonial from Laura Philippi. The Bob Ross floss was hilarious. So, that being the case, I feel more confident in recommending it to others because it's, I've got an unsolicited testimonial, like I said. Let's see. Just gonna. Does anybody have a specific request for a species that you would like to see that is within it's going to be feasible for me to get at? See, this is kind of what I like to see when I look at an isopod enclosure that's been recently refreshed. You got tons of leaf litter on the top, and that's a good sign. The leaf litter is starting to soften. It's nice when I can. I just put some really, really rotty leaf litter on there that's already kind of soft and stinky. This is a bin where I had lots of Magic Potion adults in here, and I moved them out because it was getting too small for them. There's still a ton of babies in here and probably a few adults. Those are all Magic Potion. This is the original Magic Potion sent to me directly from Kyle Candelian, who refined the strain based on stock that was sent to him and discovered by J. Fiore. So it doesn't get more pure than that. It's never been mixed with anything else. This is American Magic Potion, but you don't need to call it American Magic Potion because it's the real thing. A lot of people call it that, but you can just call it a Magic Potion. Japanese Magic Potion should be called Japanese Dalmatian to prevent confusion. Let's see. I can do some more millipedes, I think. Let me see. There's some right here. Hopefully we can see some. They need some more food. They're out. They like fish flakes. This Tennyson, Kingsley, and company. There's a lot of people that are connected to Tennyson who watch this channel. So OG Original Gecko, Dennis and Kingsley, they all work together to get me these. Let's see. Is anybody out near the surface? I don't want to mess with them too much. That one doesn't look alive. That one looks like it's dead. The substrate is damp. I don't want to dig too much, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity right at the surface. The fish food's certainly disappearing. Hope it's not just the springtails eating it. I've seen the millipedes in here doing their thing. Well, I'm not going to dig too much in there. I don't want to cause too much of an issue for them. Hopefully they're doing okay still. Somebody suggested we check out the millipedes, or not the millipedes, the Taylor Swift scorpion. The Taylor Swift scorpion. So who else is here? I just saw some people were coming in. Who was it who just popped in? Oh, there's Chelsea. Yes. Chelsea Steenfot made it live. That's awesome. I've been able to be in the Steenfot's lives recently a little bit. Look at this new molt. Just had a molt recently. I'm going to take that out. It's falling apart. Of the Taylor Swift scorpion. But now, let's look at the Taylor Swift scorpion itself. Oh, it's going to be right behind there. I'm going to maneuver a few things so you can see it more easily. Just a second. It's just in that spot where it's hard to see. So bear with me, everybody, please, as we adjust the camera angle so we can see. This is my male right here. That is him. My female just molted too. So within another couple of weeks, I'm going to be reattempting to pair them. I'm going to be attempting to repair them. No. Why can't I talk? I'm going to be attempting to pair them again. Let's go with that. Yeah, you've been really busy. I've been following your streams. I'll catch the replay if I can't be there live, and got a lot of stuff going on. So I do appreciate, I feel honored that you have decided to spend a little time to pop into my stream here. So, and you've got some cool stuff going on. If you haven't, if you guys like reptiles and or fish, you should check out Steenfot Aquatics, because they do some cool stuff. Lots and lots of cool stuff. I always enjoy their streams. They do Medaka like I do, but they do all sorts of fun things, from a tegu. They just got a king snake. They do all kinds of fish, like West African fish with various types, and they do corridors. They do all kinds of things. Oh, so Chelsea, which kind of whip scorpion did you have? And Laura Philippi, do not show many Cubaris species. Is there a reason behind this? I don't keep that many. I keep some, and we can look at some if you'd like, but I don't keep a lot, and that is partly because I try to focus my collection on species that I can ship, and there aren't that many Cubaris that I can ship. There are a couple. I think there are 3 species of Cubaris that I'm allowed to ship, but there are so many more in the hobby, and I just don't keep that many. Let's see. I do, of course, have duckies. I have rubber duckies. A couple of different. I have the well, this guy is not doing a whole lot today, is he? Just sitting there, but that's okay. But I hope I am able to get them paired. Oh, thank you, Chelsea. I love that. I am glad that you have appreciated my channel. I appreciate yours too. It's a lot of fun. So Mystic Drake, yeah. I'm deciding what to do about Ruby. Ruby was my garter snake, one of my garter snakes, one of my breeders, and she passed away, and I have not decided what I'm going to do about that yet. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to take a break from garters or not, and breeding. Well, I'm obviously taking a break right now because I don't have breeders, but still thinking about it. Still trying to figure out what to do. still a little bit hard to talk about, but yes, I did lose some, and it really took a chunk out of me. It's, to put it mildly, it's been rough. It's been hard on me. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do about that. I don't want to give up keeping snakes. We do still have our corn snake. I would love to keep some more snakes. Trying to decide if I want to do more breeding or not, and if so, do I want to do garters again? Do I want to do something else? But yeah, it's been a hard time, so I haven't decided yet. But it's a perfectly fair question. So these are Cubaris marina anemone. And they are native, well, at least they occur either naturally or they were introduced some time ago to the US. They're not like a species that's exclusively Southeast Asian or anything like that. They do occur in many parts of the world, including parts of the US in the wild, whether that's because they were brought there or not. Not intentionally, but they may be there as a result of human, human activity. But the wild type is gray with two little orange uropods. And this is one of the forms. This form I really like because anemone has a lot of variation. I've scared so many of them away. But let's see if I can spot a few there. A lot of them have little spots on them, little markings. And I'm not talking about the digestive system and whatnot that you can see on some of these, but they'll have little markings like that one, where it's got dark markings on the orange. And that's an interesting thing about anemone. They're like the Cubaris marina answer to Porcelius lava. So, and so Mystic Drake, yeah, no problem. You're welcome to ask. I try to be transparent about that. People ask me about it, and people have asked me about it in the stream before, and it's fine that you do. And sometimes you lose things, and garter snakes are a little bit tricky that way, where sometimes they will pass very quickly without a lot of warning, and that's what happened with several of our garters. So, no harm in asking at all. So, Chelsea had Phrynis mayazai. Oh, awesome. I've never kept that species. In fact, the only species I've kept is Dama diadema so far. And yeah, jelly beans, they kind of do resemble that. And no problem. Yeah, prepping your tegu's food, it's quite a job. I've thought that someday I would like a tegu. My son really wants a tegu someday. But yeah, going to take some effort. And yes, agreed. Natricines can be so heartbreaking. And natricines, for those of you who may be wondering, that is the subfamily to which garters belong. And there are some other snakes in that group, including ribbon snakes, and some of the, I think some of the water snakes are in that group, and so on. And they will just kind of, they don't have the longest lifespans to begin with, but sometimes they'll just pass away really fast. And in Ruby's case, the males, her two males, passed super fast, and I was like, "What just happened?" And took her to the vet to try to figure out what was going on. Got her on medication, a couple of different medications, in fact, but it was not to be. And she only survived about a month or so after we got her off onto the medications. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. And Yotaro, sorry to hear about your albino checkered garters. Those are beautiful, and just just losing anything like that, it's very sad. Yeah, like Chelsea's saying, beloved garters lost beloved garters very abruptly. No apparent reason at all. Yeah, it happens. Sorry, I'm like juggling this like invisible isopod. There's that one with the colors. Let's see. So I do want to get some Carinus acosta, the little parthenogenic amblypygids, the tiny ones. Totally do. I would love that. I need to get a dwarf white isopod colony going so I can keep them in there. My most unusual invert? Hard to say. I mean, my tailless whip scorpions are kind of up there, but I don't know. They might be the most unusual. I mean, you could walk into 1,000 people's houses in my city and not find someone who keeps them. So I guess that qualifies as unusual. Probably couldn't do that with isopods anymore. Probably find a few who did. So I guess it's about time to go, but thank you everyone for joining me on the stream. I appreciate it, and we will have another stream in 2 weeks if all goes well. 2 Tuesdays from now. So I've been skipping one Tuesday, and then I do a short on that day, and then I do a live on the next one. So every 2 weeks. It has been great to have you, and I hope you take care, and we'll see you on the next one.